Salsa alla Bolognese.
Hello there and welcome to Ask Chef Tony. Today we are going to make, per request of one of our fans, another staple of the Italian cuisine. We're talking about Salsa alla Bolognese, or some might refer as a Ragu alla Bolognese, which comes from a French word, which is basically a stew of meat and tomato and veggies and etc. Now, the name of the sauce is Bolognese. Bolognese comes from the town of Bologna in the Emilia-Romagna in Italy. Some of the very original basic recipe of the Bolognese included having some mortadella as an ingredient into the meats. Mortadella is in America it's also referred as Bologna or bologna, which is an imitation. Let's leave that one for another time. But another interesting fact is that the original mortadella also had different ingredients back then, as today it's mostly pork meat. Back then was made with donkey meat. Since we cannot find a donkey today or any part of a donkey to include in the recipe, we're going to go straight into ground meats. And we have here beef, pork, and veal grounded to the same consistency. Now, Bolognese is nothing else than a ragu, a meat stew. It's mixed of meats with veggies, tomato, little wine, and spices, and can be a basic to a simple recipe like a fettuccine bolognese, or an ingredient as you would put it in a lasagna. Lasagna has bolognese as one of the ingredients. Years ago it was used originally it was used more like as a main dish on slices of bread or crostini, roasted on a fire as a spread with a little cheese or without, and a glass of wine, and people would just eat on that. These days you can use your imagination and do other things with it. Like I've seen people take bolognese, then take a batch of it and add some cooked beans, some pinto beans or something, and let it cook a little further with a little extra tomato, and spice it up to make almost like a chili con carne, and eat it with some tortilla or some crostini bread. So you have options, or just go traditional. You boil some penne, some fettuccine, spaghetti, whatever you might like, toss some of the sauce in it, a little bit of Parmesan on top, and you have a nice, wonderful dish for the evening, you and your family. We have beef, pork, and veal. The amounts: it's a pound of pork, a pound of veal, 2 pounds of beef, so a quarter and half. We have here an onion, 2 ribs of celery, and 2 carrots. Aromas here, we have some garlic, fresh. Please do not use powders or anything in those jars. So fresh garlic, fresh rosemary, but dried is fine, and some bay leaf, which I happen to have a beautiful fresh plant, but again, dried bay leaf is fine too. We're going to infuse everything with some red wine. Whatever you use, try not to use anything fruity, fruit juice flavor, so to speak. We are going to start, first of all, the whole process with a very good olive oil, salt and pepper, crushed tomato. I like to get my tomato whole, and I crush myself with an emergent blender, or if you have a regular blender, you could do that. Or you could get already crushed tomatoes in a can, although when you get them crushed already, you don't know if it's a blend of tomatoes versus here. I know they all look the same, they all the same tomato. So we're going to go ahead and start with the olive oil. This is about 3 tablespoons. Whenever I make bolognese, since it's one of those sauces that you can use as an ingredient in many other things, I like to make a nice big batch. I can do little containers. I keep one in the fridge, one I use at night. I put some in the freezer for the emergency evening. I'll bring some over as a present with a package of some pasta or something when you go over visiting a friend. So it's a good thing to do that way. Now here, I'm going to start with the garlic. I'm going to put the garlic in there. As that starts, we don't want to caramelize the garlic too much. We don't want to burn it. We just want to get everything going. I'm going to take my veggies here. I like a lot of veggies in there. So I think this pretty much is good for the amount of meat I have. Now before I proceed, before I go on with the meat, I like to give this a little browning. And already right there, the kitchen gets invaded with this aroma of the onion and the vegetables caramelizing. My trittico. Trittico is the 3 basic of many sauces, many things in cooking in any kitchen, being the 3 that we just discussed. It's also very important to have a nice hot pot with oil, because you don't want to boil the onion, and you don't want to boil these veggies, you want them to brown. I have a medium-high heat on it. It is delicious aroma, this right there. You're gonna hear that the sizzling is gonna start easing off. Can you hear that? Good time to start adding the meat. And I just roughly crumbling there in layers. The pork, the veal. Now, in the middle of it, I give it a toss to start the meat, browning the meat, instead of put one big clump. Then I add more. Now I like my sauce nice and chunky with a lot of ingredients in there. In a restaurant it might go a little bit easier on the meat, trying to get more out of the product, but you're gonna go chunky, you're gonna go all the way. Now I'm not going to season at this point yet, because what happens if, let's say if right now I start putting a little bit of salt, and first of all it's hard to judge salt and spices at the beginning, because you might overdo it, because as the sauce cooks and reduces down, everything gets concentrated, that's right. So and also the salt will make the meat sweat and get some of the fluid, the water out of the meat, and start more of a boiling process that we don't want to achieve. We want to get a little bit of browning in stages. So this is the only part really that takes a little longer, because you know, you could do shortcuts and dump everything in there, and no, we don't do that. This is the part that takes the little attention. Then, at a certain point, we just literally put it in the back of the stove and go do other things. Once in a while, remember to stir it. You don't want to get to stick. Once something sticks at the bottom of the pot, then some of the burnt flavor kind of infuses into the recipe, and it's almost close to impossible to take it out. It's like you ruin the whole batch. So we are not going to do that. At this point, I'm going to add my aroma. Some people might like to tie this whole thing or put it in one of these little bag and fish it out at the end. I really have no problem just putting it as is. I have fresh rosemary, bay leaf, and some clove, whole clove. I have three whole cloves in there. Let the oils come out in there. Once in a while, give it a toss, let it cook. I'm already getting hungry just with the fumes, with the aroma. Even the neighbor, I can see the neighbor through the window. He's like sticking the nose out of the window right now. And then there is my wife. I'm going to add some of the wine. Now there is really not a 100% rule. In this amount of meat, 2 cups of wine, a little more, a little less. We are going to bring this back to temperature and get the alcohol in the wine to evaporate. You can also speed up that process by putting half a lid over it. By putting the lid on it this way, I'm going to reduce the pressure in the pot, and it's going to speed up the heating of the sauce. If I leave it open, the heat will go up a lot faster and will take longer. I already see that it's bubbling up as soon as I covered, like not even 30 seconds, and then start bubbling. I can smell the fumes of the wine coming out, the alcohol, it's evaporating. It's already smelling good. Now we are going to re-season towards the end, but at this point I want to put some pepper and some salt. I like to use sea salt because I stick with my ingredients. Now there you go. Now that everything is nice and alive, I'm going to go and add my tomato. There we go. Nice stir. Combine everything. Make sure nothing is sticking. Any big chunk, break it down. Here it is. We let it cook. Reduce to a more of a dense consistency sauce, and we're going to start with medium heat and then we take it down a little lower. It's going to take a good 2 to 3 hours. The longer the better. See you back in a few. I hope that you enjoyed watching. Your turn to make this delicious dish, and as always, enjoy it. Keep watching and subscribe.